The laryngeal muscles. There are two types of muscle of the larynx: extrinsic group and intrinsic group. Extrinsic group muscle which connect the larynx to the surrounding structure, and intrinsic group is the muscles which attaches itself in the laryngeal framework. The functions of these extrinsic muscles are: they are responsible moving the larynx upside downwards. They also increase the pitch of the voice by elevation and lengthening the caliber of the laryngopharynx, and they also tend to reach the fundamental frequency of the voice. The elevator of the larynx are thyroid muscle, digastric, styloid, genoid, mylohyoid, and the depressors are sternothyroid muscle, and omohyoid muscles are the depressors. All these muscles like infrahyoid are below the hyoid groups are thyroid, sternothyroid. These are the infrahyoid muscles. Suprahyoid muscles are mylohyoid, genohyoid, stylohyoid, digastric, stylopharyngeus, palatopharyngeus, and salpingopharyngeus. These are the extrinsic muscles. So total extrinsic muscle of larynx are infrahyoid group having three main muscles: thyroid, sternothyroid. These are the three main muscles. Given are suprahyoid groups: mylohyoid, genohyoid, stylohyoid, digastric, stylopharyngeus, palatopharyngeus, and salpingopharyngeus. So total extrinsic muscles about 10. Intrinsic muscle of the larynx. There are four cartilage: epiglottis, thyroid, cricoid, and arytenoid cartilage. There are two muscle which arises from the thyroid cartilage. One is toward the epiglottis, that is thyroepiglotticus. Second is toward the arytenoid, that is thyroarytenoid. So medial part of this thyroid arytenoid is called vocalis muscles. There are three muscles which arise from cricoid: toward the thyroid, cricothyroid; toward the arytenoid, lateral cricoarytenoid; and posterior cricoarytenoid. The arrow head showing the insertion of the muscles. So three muscles from the cricoid cartilage. From the arytenoid, three muscles: aryepiglotticus toward the epiglottis, one unpaired muscle, that is transverse arytenoid, and there are two paired muscle, that is oblique arytenoid. This aryepiglotticus considered the extension of the oblique arytenoid muscles toward the epiglottis. So these are the total 8 muscles of the larynx. You can easily see and remember this by this simple diagram. In short, the thyroid cartilage giving two muscles: toward the epiglottis, thyroepiglotticus; toward the arytenoid, thyroarytenoid. The cricoid cartilage giving three muscles: toward the thyroid cartilage, cricothyroid; toward the arytenoid, two muscles: lateral cricoarytenoid and posterior cricoarytenoid. The arytenoid cartilage giving three muscles: once toward the epiglottis, that is aryepiglotticus, that is extension of oblique arytenoid, and between two arytenoid there are two muscles, one unpaired, that is transverse arytenoid, and one paired muscle, that is oblique arytenoid. So these are total 8 number of muscles, which is intrinsic muscle of the larynx, which is inside the framework of the larynx. Now first group is open and closing the glottis. First muscle is posterior cricoarytenoid. It arises from lower and medial surface back of the cricoid lamina, inserts on the back of the muscular process of the arytenoid. It opens the glottis and abducts the vocal cords. and effect are abduct and elevate the tip of the vocal process and vocal fold become elongated and thin. The free edge of the vocal fold is rounded and passively stiffened by this muscle. Second muscle is lateral cricoarytenoid. It arises from superior border of the lateral part of the arch of the cricoid. Insert on muscular process of arytenoid. It adduct the vocal fold and lower the larynx. Effect are vocal fold adducted, lowered and elongated, and they are thinned out. The fringe of vocal fold becomes sharp and passively stiffened. So both posterior cricoarytenoid and lateral cricoarytenoid stiffen the vocal fold. Third muscle is transverse arytenoid. It's unpaired, arises from posterior surface of muscular process and upper outer edge of the arytenoid. It crosses over and attaches to the same point of the other arytenoid. Adduct the vocal fold and control the position of vocal fold. No significant effect on mechanical property of vocal fold. Fourth muscle is oblique arytenoid. These are paired muscle and these are the most superficial muscle of the intrinsic muscles in the laryngeal framework. They arises from posterior aspect of muscular process insert on the apex of the other arytenoid. So they also adduct the vocal fold, control the tension of vocal folds. So first muscle is the thyroarytenoid muscle. A broad sheet of muscle which lies lateral and above the fringe of cricovocal ligament. Most medial part of this muscle is called vocalis. So vocalis is the part of thyroarytenoid muscle. It arises from back of the thyroid prominence and cricothyroid ligament. Insert on vocal process of arytenoid and anterolateral surface of body of the arytenoid. These muscle shorten and relaxer of the vocal fold. So they relax the vocal fold and shorten the vocal fold. Second muscle is cricothyroid. This is the only intrinsic muscle which lies outside the cartilaginous framework of the larynx. It arises from lateral surface of anterior arch of cricoid and divided into two parts. Lower fibers passes backwards and laterally to the anterior border of inferior corner of thyroid cartilage. Anterior straight fiber ascend to the posterior part of lower part of the thyroid lamina, and they both collectively act as lengthening and tensioning the vocal fold. Now third group is alter the shape of the laryngeal inlet. First muscle is epiglotticus. These are the continuation of oblique arytenoid muscles. They arises from the posterior aspect of muscular process of arytenoid. Insert on the apex of opposite arytenoid and on the epiglottic fold. Actions is they are the weak inspector of laryngeal inlet. Second muscle is thyroepiglotticus. It is a continuation of the thyroarytenoid muscle. Arises from the back of the thyroid prominence and cricothyroid ligament and insert on the opposite epiglottic fold. They are the opening of the inlet of larynx by pulling the epiglottic fold slightly apart. Spaces within the larynx. Spaces in larynx contain fat, lymphatic, and basal. They represent potential pathways of tumor spread that may have a significant bearing on treatment and prognosis. First space is pre-epiglottic space. The pre-epiglottic space is a wedge shaped with wedge lies inferiorly. It is bounded anteriorly by thyroid ligament and hyoid bone, posteriorly by the epiglottis. Superiorly, the hyoepiglottic ligament connect the epiglottis to the hyoid bone. Tumor may spread into the area through a small perforation in the epiglottis or directly through the hyoepiglottic ligament. The pre-epiglottic space is continuous laterally with the paraglottic space where there is no anatomical boundary exists. So These pre-epiglottic space tumor may go in the second space, that is paraglottic space, without any boundary in between. Second space is paraglottic space. The paraglottic space is bounded laterally by thyroid cartilage, medially by conus elasticus and quadrangular membrane, and posteriorly by piriform fossa mucosa. It contains the laryngeal ventricles and saccule. Tumor may spread extensively in this submucosal space in the absence of significant mucosal changes. So, these are the hidden space where tumor can spread. Nerve supply of the larynx. All muscle except cricothyroid are supplied by recurrent laryngeal nerve, and sensory supply of the vocal fold by the internal branch of superior laryngeal nerve, and below the vocal fold the sensory supply coming from the recurrent branch of vagus nerve. So this whole larynx supply by the vagus branches. Blood supply of the larynx. It supplies by the superior laryngeal artery and inferior laryngeal artery. Venous drainage from the superior laryngeal vein and inferior laryngeal vein. Some vein drain into the middle thyroid vein. So main blood supply coming from the superior laryngeal vessels and inferior laryngeal vessels. It means superior laryngeal artery is branch of superior thyroid artery, inferior laryngeal artery is branch of the inferior thyroid artery. The superior laryngeal vein drain into the internal jugular vein, and inferior laryngeal vein drain into the inferior thyroid vein, which directly drain into brachiocephalic vein. So this is the blood supply of the lymphatic drainage of the larynx. The lymphatic drainage of the larynx is separated by the vocal fold into upper and lower drainage system. The larynx above the vocal fold is drained by a vessel that is accompanied by superior laryngeal vein and pierce the thyroid membrane, emptying into the upper deep cervical lymph node. The larynx below the vocal fold drain to lower deep cervical chain, often through prelaryngeal, that is Delphian, and pretracheal nodes. The vocal fold themselves are firmly bound down to underlying vocal ligament, and there are no lymphatic present in this plane. Early cancer of vocal fold do not therefore readily spread to the lymph node. So above the vocal fold drained into deep cervical nodes, and below the vocal fold that drain into the deep cervical node partially via Delphian nodes. So ultimately they are drained into the deep cervical nodes and mediastinal nodes.